I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're exploring an amazing book. It's called Breaking the Silence by Violet Spencer. This powerful memoir details Vi's courageous journey to overcome family violence and find her voice. Today, we will discover how her unyielding strength and raw honesty inspire others to break free from the chains of silence and reclaim their lives. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her powerful book. The links are below this interview. Violet, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Good morning. Great to have you on the show. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you sharing your story not only here today on our show, but also in your book. What inspired you to help tell this tale, decades later in the hopes of helping others?
Well, I've been wanting to write this book for many years. It's been on my mind. And I think the biggest reason for me writing this book after all this time, I needed to get it out there. I needed to get it out of my head. It just felt good to put it all down on paper, put the words out there. And my siblings totally supported me doing this.
Great. Having your family there by your side, other family members experience the abuse as well. So to get, this plight out there and help people overcome the challenges that they face from such abuse, I think is a wonderful and noble thing. How did you overcome and come to terms with what happened to you when you were younger?
Well, I had to do it all on my own.
Hmm.
And I told people, family members, friends, and nobody would believe anything I had to say. So, how it all came to fruition is when the school got involved. I was 14, my older sister was 16, and they got involved because my sister was pregnant and they knew that the way our family was in school, that we had no friends, we had no boyfriends, and so they started asking questions.
And those questions led to them taking action?
Well, the questions led to me being called to the school office, and I wouldn't tell them anything at first. I was too scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I went home that night and spoke to my older sister and told her that if they called me down to the office again, that I was just going to tell it all because I was tired of living in fear and always had dreams of running away, never getting far. My father would always catch me and bring me home. But so the next day, they did call me to the office and started asking questions again. And my older sister was called down also, and she never said a word. She was too afraid and cried. And I just started telling them everything that went on. And it led to my father getting arrested at work.
But solve the problem at that point?
Pretty much at that point, my father went to prison. He went to prison for, I think, I'm not really sure because I wasn't home, but I'm thinking it was close to 15 years. But when my father got out, I heard from my siblings way down the road that it all happened over again. And so they had to, I have a brother that has some issues mentally. We've all struggled through this. But most of us have got good lives now. If it wasn't for my best friend of 32 years that helped me and talked with me through it all, and a niece that was always there by my side also. I don't know. And my foster parents. I have to give a lot of credit to my foster parents. They made me who I am today.
Right. What about your grandparents? Did they know what was going on? Did they ever try to stop what was happening?
No, my grandmother, I told her, I think they knew. I think they were aware. But nothing, they never stepped in. They never tried to save us. And there were 6 of us.
Yeah.
And it was horrific. My father was a monster. He was mean.
Yeah. Awful. Awful. Is he living or dead now?
My father passed away just a couple years ago. He lived to be 88 years old.
Huh.
And my mother passed away at 72, and she didn't have to, but she gave up. Yeah. She said, I'm tired. They could have saved her, but she said no. And she passed away at 72.
Yeah. Did they stay together?
Yes. Why? I think because my mother was afraid. Yeah. My dad would hit her and, he would beat her. He would, the last thing he did to her was tripped her, broke her leg. And that's how she came to be in the hospital at the time of her passing.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You joined the Air Force, were in the Air National Guard for 26 years. Did your time in the service help you with the structure and stability and all of that?
Yes. I couldn't ever find a place. It seemed like I had this job and that job. And at 34 years old, I said, I need to be doing better for myself. And so I decided the cutoff was 34 years old. I joined the military in April. My birthday's in July. I turned 34 in basic training. And I think it helped me through all the years. Yes, I do. I think it gave me confidence, courage, stability. Yes.
Something you never had in your childhood. You found in the U.S. military, the stability, the security, and a family you could count on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I still count on them today.
Yeah. Tell us about your siblings. Are you in touch with them? What did it do to the family?
It broke the family up. Me and my older sister went into foster home because my older sister was pregnant at 16 with my father's child. Her and I stayed together in foster homes until she gave birth, and then they had to separate us. I did not see my siblings from the time I was 14 until, wow, my daughter was 3 years old before I ever saw. Yeah. But right now I talk to every one of them. Mm-hmm. And we try to keep in touch. And actually I have a sister coming to visit next month. So
wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, because it's not the children's fault. You were put in horrible circumstances, that ended kind of like an explosion with your father going to jail and getting arrested, which is where he deserved to go and belonged. But no doubt, there were consequences for the family as well. Just a horrible situation. What was it like writing this book? It must have been a terrible memory lane to go down, or was it cathartic because, you feel like it's out there, you can push it away? Tell me about that.
It was very difficult to go back through everything and relive it all. Mm-hmm. But yet it was also a relief that now it's out there, everybody knows. It just was, it was very hard to go back and write it. It was very emotional for me. And my husband, he was so encouraging and supportive, and it was just worth the whole writing of it.
Right, right. Well, God bless you for writing it, because I think more people than we know live this kind of nightmare. Some of them might still be going through it. Some might have been always afraid to speak up. Some might be hiding it from a spouse. So there's so much pain, so much guilt, so much shame, so much hurt inflicted upon a young person. And, you know, it's just it's the ultimate betrayal that a father abuses his daughter or son or wife. It's horrible. It's horrible. Did you ever forgive your mother for what she let transpire?
You know, I always loved my mother,
Mm-hmm.
even though she didn't, there were times that she saw it, she witnessed it, but because of her fear, she didn't do much to protect us. Although at the very end, when my mother was passing away and some of us were at the hospital, she requested that my father not be in the room. That was her last words, is to forbid him. She finally had the strength. Too bad it had to be then, to keep him from being there. She was tired of him. She wanted him to go away. But she was afraid of him too, because he was abusive to her. And I never could understand why they stayed together. All I could think of is my mother was afraid and she couldn't support herself and be on her own. I think she was just afraid.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. One, they're afraid, they're intimidated. Money is a big issue. Women weren't paid well in that era, if they worked at all. Divorce was, you know, frowned upon by many religions. It was a tough time. Does it excuse it? Absolutely not. Your mother's lack of action. She did take action 6 decades later by telling him to get out of the room when she's dying, but it was 6 decades too late. Well, we're glad you broke your silence. We're glad you got some help. We're glad you spoke to those school administrators with a lot of courage and bravery, and got your family saved by doing this. And you've documented it now in a very, very powerful memoir. It is called Breaking the Silence. It details Vi's courageous journey to overcome family violence and find her voice. In the pages of this book, you will discover her unyielding strength and raw honesty that will inspire others to break free from the chains of silence and reclaim their lives. Violet, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me, Logan.
Pleasure is all mine. I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.